Hello everyone and welcome! With the context behind Blitzcrank's creation being revealed in Victor's story, we can now dive deeper into it and see what exactly happened between him and Victor. Shortly after the development of Hextech, inventors and scientists ran to Zone. Unlike in Piltover, here they could study and experiment with volatile materials without caring about regulations. But these experiments often ended in disaster, with entire buildings destroyed and toxic chemicals spilled into nearby streets. A team at the College of Techmaturgy developed steam-powered golems who would remove the hazardous debris, which was very dangerous even for the most desperate Zonites. These golems worked through days and nights, carrying waste to the growing number of disposal sites around the city. And even among these machines, accidents were common and these robots were frequently sent back to the college in pieces. Gathering the slime from the bottom of Zone wasn't easy, and over time these acidic chemicals wore down their metal shells. But then there was an ambitious young inventor known as Victor, who wanted to create a durable machine that could clean more effectively and eliminate the need of costly repairs. He gathered broken parts from the retired golems, avoiding the fleshier components popular among other inventors. And after going through the dump of unwanted materials, he designed a more resilient machine. He named his creation Blitzcrank, hoping the golem would quickly eradicate all waste and become far greater than any other helping robot. Victor told Blitzcrank about his idea of helping people, and he gave the sentient golem a resilient desire to serve people of Zone by removing the toxins in their path. After that, he sent Blitzcrank into the sump to help. The golem took Victor's ideology to heart, believing self-sacrifice and altruism could lead to true greatness for the entire city. Blitzcrank joined the other machines in their cleanup program, going far beyond the usual areas of pollution. He fearlessly cleansed toxic neighborhoods from the most dangerous chemical spills without any need to return to the college for repairs. As he encountered other civic dangers, he developed increasingly ambitious plans for his crew of golems. But he found his own design was limited to only cleaning chemical spills and nothing else. One night he borrowed Victor's tools and he wrenched open his own steam engine. He configured his mechanics and removed all limits to his function so that he could make even greater difference in the city. In the following weeks, Blitzcrank orchestrated evacuations across entire neighborhoods to help people avoid the toxic fumes. Then he redirected a food distribution system to increase its efficiency. And he repaired a filtering system to dispose clean water to the community well. With every good deed, Blitzcrank's sense of his own purpose solidified, and he gained consciousness that no other golem had yet achieved. Victor noticed the unusual changes in his creation, and he wanted to replicate Blitzcrank's profound sentience and self-sufficiency in other machines. But Blitzcrank never revealed what had caused his awakening, and without that knowledge, Victor couldn't replicate his success. The golem roamed the streets of Zone, refusing to rest when there might be people in need of his help. Soon his assistance extended beyond just humans. He began helping street animals and even broken robots. When a gas fire devastated the Dovoren clock tower, he rescued a family of mechanics together with their black cat, even stopping to recover a miniature mechanical dancer from a child's bedroom. No task was too small for the legendary Blitzcrank. He stopped robberies, helped starving children and returned lost animals. As time passed, Blitzcrank learned that several of the people he had previously saved became ill after their exposure to the chemicals. Anxious at his inability to help, he turned to his creator. And Victor, who was interested in evolving humanity beyond its mortality, was eager to assist. He promised Blitzcrank that with his developments in techmaturgy, they could defeat death. At first, the transformation was a success and the family regained their mobility. But after months of good health, their bodies began to fail. Victor and Blitzcrank worked tirelessly to try to find a cure, but before they could, The entire family was dead. Saddened by their failure, Blitzcrank knew this way of helping people was not his. He parted with his creator as a friend and peer, hoping to make the greatest difference he could for the people of Zone. While some view Zone as a chaotic place, Blitzcrank sees only its infinite possibilities. He now searches Zone for ways to create change for good, paying extra attention to those forgotten by society. He believes that, with a bit of help, Zone will grow into the greatest city Valorant has ever seen. His later story brings us to the Rising Howl, a multi-platform lift connecting all the layers of Zone and Piltover. There are many stories why this lift got this name. Some believe the howl comes from the sound it makes when it's active. Some believe there is an iron wolf at its very peak. And some believe the cabins are haunted by ghosts screeching whenever it moves away from his love lost in Zone. Most think the name is based on the wind whistling between the crevices below their city. But to Blitzcrank, it's not a lone cry. It is an orchestra of noise, a melodic blend of 1,000 unique sounds. That is why he is drawn to this machine. It was slowly descending to the promenade level when he approached it. Disembark for the promenade. The conductor announced, her voice magnified by bell-shaped sonophone. She adjusted her thick goggles as she spoke. Boundary Markets, College of Techmaturgy, Horticultural Center. Passengers poured in and out, merchants traveling to Zone, workers returning home, and wealthy Zoneites visiting the city at night. Then there were the unseen riders who made the howl their home. The Plague Rats, the Shadow Hares and Viridian Beetles. Sometimes Blitzcrank climbed down the crevices to descend to the sump, but tonight he wanted to enjoy the harmony of noises the howl could offer. Instead of going in, he swung around and grabbed the bottommost bar where steel framed the glass windows. He climbed higher onto the howl, drawing stares from the passengers and what looked like a grimace from the conductor. He wasn't sure, for his knowledge of facial expressions grew each day. There were two reasons why Blitzcrank enjoyed riding it on the outside. He couldn't hear the satisfying clicking of the machinery inside, and he can't fit through most doors. A small boy held onto his sump scrapper father's hand and gaped at Blitzcrank through the window. Blitzcrank winked at him, and the boy's mouth opened in what he estimated to be surprise. "Going down," said the conductor, and the howl began to descend. It whirred and creaked as they went down the three towering supporting beams. Steam whistled from the topmost pipe. Inside the cabin, a musician tuned his four-stringed chitterone and began to play his melody. His tune synchronized with the clanking gears of the machinery. The father tapped his foot to the rhythm, and a beetle snapped her pincers as she scrambled from the heavy boot. A gang of Kempunks calmly leaned against the wall, a pause from their usual wreaking havoc. It all played together in a beautiful symphony around Blitzcrank, and soon he found himself humming along to the deep buzzing tones. "Enter Soul," the conductor called out. Few carriers, cam researchers and merchants disembarked. A crowd of Zoneites from the theater district stepped in. "Down we go," she said, and the harmony continued as if it was all normal, until a jarring clunk broke its perfect rhythm. Though Blitzcrank has never dreamed, he knew a break in the pattern so abrupt is machine's most frightening nightmare. A gear got jammed and the cabin's machinery creaked while grinding against it. The entire weight of the howl was bracing the bending supporting columns, and the cabin tilted at a lurching angle. Metal pins bursted from their places under the pressure. They wobbled for a moment, then they dropped. Inside the cabin, passengers screamed and grabbed the nearest railing. This was a different kind of howl. Blitzcrank tightened his hold on the cabin and extended his other arm. He launched it toward the vertical beams in the structure. The column was slippery from the mist and his grip missed by inches. He retracted his arm. Steam blasted from his back as he tried again, whizzing it toward a second beam. Another miss. Time slowed. Inside the cabin, the campunks clinked to a latch while the Viridian beetle flied out an open window. The sump scrapper and his child braced themselves against the glass. It shattered under their weight and the boy tumbled out. He scrabbled at the frame with his fingers before he slipped and fell. Blitzcrank reached up and caught the boy mid-flight, then retracted his arm. "Hold on," he said. The boy grabbed onto his back. Blitzcrank fired his arm again. This time his hand met with the solid metal beam and he secured his hold. His other arm was forced to extend under the weight of the cabin and everyone inside. He had a moment to steady his grip before his arm jerked as the cabin stopped its free fall. Blitzcrank stayed suspended in midair, with the boy on his back. The howl was still 50 feet above the ground and he concentrated all of his efforts on him holding himself together. While locking his arm onto the supporting beam, he slid his arm down the pillar. They dropped 10 feet before he stabilized again. "Sorry about that," he shouted. This time he released his grip ever so slightly, and with a piercing screech, they gently slid the remaining 40 feet. The valves on his back sighed in relief, and the passengers mimicked his reaction. He crouched and let the boy touch the ground. Then the boy quickly scrambled to his father, who embraced him. The conductor emerged from inside and looked at Blitzcrank. "You saved us, all of us," she said with a shaking voice. "Thank you." "I am simply fulfilling my purpose," he said. "I am glad you are not hurt. Have a good day." She smiled and turned to the crowd. They all assisted each other. The mechanics began the repairs. One of the cam girls carried the musician's instrument for him as he crawled out. The theater folks comforted an elderly man. 2 hex mechanics stumbled toward him, and Blitzcrank directed them to the medical officer. A new kind of harmony spread around, and the steam engine within his chest murmured along, and he was moved to whistle a tune. The boy turned and waved at him shyly. Blitzcrank waved back. The Viridian beetle snapped her pincers in time with the beat of the moment as she zoomed away into the sump. And that was the story of Blitzcrank. For what I thought would be a relatively simple story, I have to say that Riot is able to make me feel even for a robot, and I hope we get more of that in the future. Now, this is the time where I would normally plug my stuff, but a word got to me that a really young and talented artist decided to animate my Yorick story. I have to say that for his age this is amazing, and even though it is just his hobby, I hope he sticks to it because he can turn this into something great. If you'd like to see Yorick's lore animated, feel free to click the link below. I want to thank all of you for being here and for supporting me with your great feedback. And as absolutely always, thank you come again.